All right. Hello, and welcome to the Rock Metal Podcast. I'm your host, John Harris, and today on the Rock Metal Podcast, we have Hearts and Hand Grenades. They have a new album called Turning to Ashes, which released on January 8th via Eclipse Records. Right now I'm being joined by Stephanie to share some more information about this release and what the band has got going on. So, Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Can I just say I love your eyebrows?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
They're 100% mine.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't doubt that they weren't yours, but I mean, it's just like, it looks great.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Now, tell us about this record, because I've got a few notes on this record, such as produced by Justin Rose, who did Goo Goo Dolls and James Taylor. And immediately when I hear your sound, I don't think that I would go to the guy who did James Taylor and the Goo Goo Dolls. But he did a great job, incredible sound. And I'm just curious how that came together in the production of the record.
Yeah, no. Justin's awesome. So that whole scenario with even recording in that studio actually started a few years ago. Our cover band that we were playing in did 2 songs at a local telethon, and we got to play right before the Goo Goo Dolls went on and did some of their songs. So, we did our little set, and it went well, and we had a great time. We went down to the bar right after we were done playing, and we listened to the Goose play, of course. And then Robbie actually ended up stopping at the bar to just, say hey and thank us for, playing in the telethon and donating our time. And then he started talking about if we had any original music at that point. And we told him no, we really didn't. We were just playing in the local cover scene. So he told us about his studio, GCR Audio, which is awesome. So if anybody can record in the Buffalo area, I highly recommend the studio. It's great. So he actually gave us information about the manager there. He said he was going to set us up with a tour of the space, and we're like, okay, cool. So Mike, our rhythm guitar player, he is our band manager. So he took Mike's number and said, I'll reach out to you and we'll set you up. So of course for us, we're like, all right, he's a famous guy. He's not going to call, but he is he's so community oriented, and he's so just willing to help up and coming bands and in the local scene. He did. He called Mike, and it was awesome. We set up a tour of the studio, so we ended up right then and there. We decided, let's book some studio time. This is freaking awesome, And then we went, oh, crap, we better write some songs. So we got to work real quick. Yeah, we wrote first 4 songs was actually an EP that is not on this album, so that's unreleased stuff. We got to work with Justin, who he's awesome. I mean, he's an incredible engineer in that studio. He's really easygoing. He made the process really easy. So for us, as a band, we had never done that before. We had never got together and recorded anything. And it was just great. Like, the whole experience was really, really casual, but just everything was fun from start to finish. So Justin was great. He was very professional, really, really light atmosphere about him. So it's a great place. I'd love to, be able to encourage any other musicians in the area to just hit that studio. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm. Something you mentioned there, that is kind of hard to come by is a lot of bands don't like going into the studio because it's just not fun. A lot of times it's kind of boring, actually.
Yeah, it could be stressful too. Yeah. You got to be laid back, I think. If I can give any advice to, somebody who does feel that way, you can't go in there super strung out and expecting everything to be perfect. Like, the point of that studio is, if you don't like it, try it again. If you want to change something, there's your opportunity to do it. Really make sure that you've tweaked your sound to the way that you want it by the time you're done with that product, because that's the time to do it. Make sure that you've got your stuff dialed in the right way, and then you can experiment with different sounds too, which we did. We are used to playing live, so we're like, okay, we know the sound that we do achieve, but is there, maybe do we want a little more distortion on this guitar, not so much on this, and here and there. So we had a lot of fun doing it. I thought it wasn't so much like a stressful experience to have to dial all that stuff in. It was more like a learning experience for us, and it was something that we could creatively really just dive into.
Right. Well, especially as a singer, it's important that you feel comfortable, right?
Yeah, that's a big part of it too.
Now, I'm curious because you said you started out as a cover band, and I've never been in a cover band, but I imagine you're not really creating your own sound so much as trying to emulate somebody else's. So what was that process like to go from dialing and say, that distortion guitar to sound like the cover song, and then writing your own material and saying, well, gee, what should this guitar be doing?
Liberating. It was very, very just enthusiastic is the best way I can explain it. We got so much more amped up being able to say, oh, hey, we put this song together, and, I kind of hummed it to myself, now let's get everybody together and really just jam it out. It's just a totally different level from playing that cover music, where, like you said, you're just trying to play that cover song your way, but as close to that track as you can so people recognize what you're playing. That's the point of, the cover music, I guess. But it's just such a freeing experience to say, like, I created this, this is my bass line, this is Kenny's guitar line, and, we're not emulating somebody else. Like, this is just what we do. This is what we sound like. So we took that first recording session, we were kind of just trying to find what is our sound. So we actually had 4 very different sounding tracks going into that. And even though they didn't end up on the Turning to Ashes album, I'm glad that we did that, because we were able to sort of like develop ourselves along the way, which really got us to the sound that we did achieve on the album. So it was just a whole overall learning experience for us, and it was just really great.
Kind of like coughing up a hairball. You write a couple of pages, and then you just go, okay, now that I got that out, and you throw it out, and then you start the reel.
Pretty much, right? Yeah, you get all the crud out of there, and then you're like, okay, I got it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, something you had mentioned was starting this, you said a couple of years ago, I think, right?
Yeah.
Now, this was released early 2021. So was a large part of this production for the actual Turning to Ashes record then done throughout what I'll just dub the chaos and pandemic and everything else of 2020?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So this album really started with our second EP, which was kind of when we got involved with Eclipse. So, we were just under this, hey, we're going to just put out these EPs and see if anybody goes for it and see how, how the response is. And then we got in these conversations with Eclipse, and we're like, okay, well, we've kind of got these EPs put together. What are we going to do with it? So Chris Poland with Eclipse basically said, like, let's take this second EP, because we had that conversation with him where we said, this is our sound. This is what we do. We're comfortable with this, and we want to build off of this one. So he was just really encouraging, and, he said, all right, well, let's, finish up what we were going to do for the last EP, and then let's put it together, and we're going to release it as an album. So it kind of became an album, like sort of halfway through our EP quests, I guess, if you will.
Instead of the quest for the Holy Grail, it's the quest for the EP.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that was 2020 in a nutshell. It was just EP after EP after EP.
When were you guys able to get together to rehearse safely and all that stuff?
Yeah, we did. We kind of had that conversation as a band, and we said, we're either going to make this choice to not be together at all, or we're going to make the choice to get together, and just try to do that as safely as possible. So we did. We still tried, to do like as often as we could. It wasn't as often as, you would if there was no restrictions of any kind.
Right.
But yeah, we managed to at least get together, enough to rehearse the songs and get the album out.
Okay. Very cool. Now, something else was, you mentioned getting into conversation with Eclipse. How did that happen? How did they catch wind of what you guys were working on?
So and this again, because Mike's the band manager, so he dealt with all this stuff. But I think it just sort of happened where I feel like maybe we just got lucky. But, you send your stuff in and you say, hey, listen to me, we don't suck. And then you figure, like, right, there's no chance in hell that, someone's going to actually pull your track and listen to it and give it a go. But they did, so they reached out to us, and they were like, oh, here, in an email, right? You get this email, and it just says like, oh, hey, I'm so-and-so from this record label, and we want to work with you. So now me, the way that my brain works, I'm like, oh, don't open that. It's junk mail. It's got to be spam or something, and then I'm like, let's get rid of it. So some little thing just says, open the email, so we did. We read it, and we're like, oh, snap. and it actually was legit.
I feel the
so
same
that's
way
kind of-
I feel the same way with emails from Chris. I'm like, this is it's not what fine, I'll read it.
Darn right. But it's like you don't expect that as a new band. You're just like, if somebody listens to it, we got lucky. But yeah, it ended up working out great, and it got us to this point.
Mm-hmm. And Chris hates stuff that sucks. So,
Right?
yeah.
Don't we all?
Exactly. Cool. Now take us through this record, Turning to Ashes, and I mean the artwork is absolutely incredible as well. You looks like you put a bit of makeup on and took a picture,
Yep.
But
Well,
you take us through this record. Is there a theme to the record? What is Turning to Ashes?
So it's really just a compilation of songs. And for me, I was asked previously, if I write my songs about something specific, I usually say no. But this album in particular, it was really just drawn from emotions, like different types of emotions, because everybody deals with all kinds of different stuff every day, right? So the title track, Turning to Ashes, that one really is just, it's about facing indecision. Like you have to do something, and if you don't make that decision, you're basically just done for. So that's what the song Turning to Ashes for me was about, and then I think that sort of just rang true as an overall theme for us right now. It's like we're putting ourselves out there. We're like any new band, you're doing everything that you can to get heard. So just go for it. Like you can't sit stagnant. You can't do nothing. You just have to try. So it's kind of like a metaphor for maybe where we are right now, just putting ourselves out there and going for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then we have 3 incredible singles that were released off the record. Nothing Left, The In Crowd, and Turning to Ashes. And I think if there is an oddball, and you're probably not going to be surprised when I say this, but I think it's The In Crowd that's kind of like the oddball.
It's a weird song.
Along with a music video to go along with it. So I guess maybe take us through these tracks. What made these tracks the standout singles off of the album?
Sure. So Turning to Ashes, it's just like, it's this rhythmic driving just beat, and it's really just a faster, more of like a fun sounding song, I think, even though maybe the content isn't super fun to say. It's about, the bridges burn that leads me home and I'm turning to ashes, which really means like if you keep standing still, it's done. But that one, it's just catchy. So that to me just kind of said, all right, let's give this one a shot. Let's make it a single. Nothing Left. That's a fun breakup song. I think stereotypically breakup song all the way. And then again, it's another thing that everybody can relate to that. Most people, I'd say, I'll be as bold to say, most people have probably been in a relationship that wasn't great or didn't end well or kind of got messy. I myself have had a couple of those, so it was just a very relatable song, and another one where we kept it, a real easy, smooth sounding beat. That one's almost got like a classic rock sound to it, I think. And then The In Crowd. So this one was actually Chris's favorite. So he did encourage us to go for this one as a single. Mm-hmm. And it's just, and I know it's weird, but it's like weird in the best ways. That song actually came from a dream that I had.
Whoa.
It's, yeah, right. It's, so the dream was that like somebody got stranded on the side of the road and, the car breaks down and you have to just go on foot and find something. And he or she will say, wandered into this off the path bar. And it just turns out that this bar was just like a club of these assassins, these crazy, murderous, weird people. Except, on the exterior, they're very well put together. They're very refined looking, and then all hell breaks loose, which is like the chorus of the song. It's just totally non-expectant to the way that the verses sound. But yeah, that all came from like this really, really weird dream. And it was one of those stereotypical moments where I kind of sat up in bed and I was like, I need to write this down. It was great, yeah. But yeah, and it was just fun, so we figured let's put something out there that's just fun. It doesn't sound like everything else that you hear on the radio now. And we'll just throw that one out there and give it a shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's something that's kind of come up a few times now. Give it a shot. Sweet. That's a great. I was just looking at the album. I've got it up on Spotify over here on on my back monitor here. 8 tracks, sweet. And then we have music videos for each of the tracks. And I mean, for a year that was crazy for a lot of bands, you guys seem to be very productive. How did you get these music videos done?
Yeah, we really did. In a time where you can't play out live, we figured like we can't just let it all fall to the wayside. So we wanted to stay as busy as possible. So we were able to shoot the 3 videos for the 3 singles. We did that at Promoting Buffalo. They're a local film studio. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and we did it just shooting locally where we could. We may or may not have trespassed to film Turn to Ashes. I plead the fifth on that one, I guess. But yeah, in the in crowd, we actually filmed that in my basement. We had set up a backdrop for the majority of that. So, we were just kind of working within the means of what we could really do, considering, places were closed and there was, nowhere to go. But yeah, we made it work because we wanted to be as productive as we could.
Mm-hmm. You have a big basement. At least it looks like a big basement.
It's not bad.
Okay, very cool. Now, it seems like you guys have a sound, and sounds like you guys are still kind of on this journey to finding your sound. Do you think you guys are there with this record, or do you think there's still more evolution to take shape?
Yeah, that's a good question, because where we are right now, I think we're all happy with it, and it was this quest to not have every song sound the same. So we tried to have these highs and these lows on the album, and I think we all collectively really like that approach. So, I mean, who knows? Moving forward, we'll probably keep that type of a mindset going until a second album. But, I mean, I wouldn't say, yes, this is it, or no, this isn't it. I guess it's just like, let it happen sort of organically. And, I think if anything, if it will change, it'll probably get heavier as we go. Because we all kind of tend to get down to more of that stuff than the lighter side of things. But yeah, I kind of like where it is now, but if it moves on, it moves on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something you mentioned a couple times was Buffalo, so I was just looking it up because I'm going to be ignorant about New York geography. So you guys are really close to Buffalo, it looks like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are hot wings a thing in Hamburg? What's the thing in Hamburg?
Oh, yeah, wings are the thing. So everybody else in the world apparently calls them buffalo wings. Mm-hmm. In Western New York, they're just chicken wings,
Okay.
And I won't use any names of places, but there are some places that claim to be like, I have the best chicken wings, in the area, and then this place says I have the best chicken. No, the best chicken wings you can find in the Buffalo, New York area are at any local bar. Just go to a bar. Don't go to a place that says they're specifically open because of chicken wings. You want to go to, any local corner bar that you can get, and then you'll find usually like 10 flavors, maybe more, and it's the best wings you'll ever have.
Okay. What makes a great chicken wing, Stephanie?
Oh, man. Oh. So, being from Buffalo, you think that I'd say I love hot sauce. I actually am the biggest wuss when it comes to eating anything spicy. So I don't eat like hot wings, medium, or any of that stuff. I love flavored wings. So I'm actually really into like Cajun dry rub wings. Mm-hmm. Those are awesome. So the dry rubs, those are pretty killer. But we've got some really good weird flavors too. Like I've had a blueberry barbecue wing at a bar. Uh-huh. That was awesome. I mean, if I could probably eat only one thing, I would take the blueberry barbecue wings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the fruit they switched out from a tomato product would be a blueberry product, and that sounds fantastic.
It was. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. So I guess not a spicy Cajun then, because you said you're a wimp when it comes to spice, but Cajun...
Yeah, not so spicy.
Okay. Yeah. I did the Cajun myself, a little Cajun dry rub. Good flavor profile on that one. I'm going to have to look into the blueberry barbecue thing.
Do it.
I'm going to have to. Sweet. Okay. What else is there to chat about? Is there anything in particular that you were looking or hoping to chat about with regard to the record while I think some more about questions to ask you?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, everybody should listen to it. There is that.
Yeah.
You could buy it. You can download it. That would be my my biggest recommendation would be go get my album. So there's always that.
Yeah. Is there going to be vinyl, CD, any kind of physical release?
We do have CDs available. Those you can get on our website. We haven't done anything with vinyl, but I mean, it's not to say we wouldn't if there was interest in doing it. Mm-hmm. So maybe in the future.
Okay.
But not at the moment.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, because Chris listens to these. So hi, Chris. I know you're listening. He's probably very upset right now, like, oh, vinyl, it's so expensive, we're going to lose money. Like, whatever. Like, do it for Stephanie, or, do it for Hearts and Hand Grenades.
You're right. Do it for me.
Mm-hmm. Front cover could say Hearts, back cover could say Hand Grenades. You know them?
There you go.
Boom.
Nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Abso-freaking-lutely. Okay, so we talked about Turning to Ashes as an album. We talked about it as a track. We touched base on the other singles, In Crowd, which was a crazy dream. Yeah. I recently had a crazy dream where I needed Kung Fu to beat up a bunch of people, and I didn't know it well enough. And I don't know, like, it's weird, but I like your dream better.
Well, yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it happens.
Maybe next time.
And how you guys managed 2020, which is fantastic. How Eclipse got involved in the picture. I think this is probably the most productive 20 minutes of today.
Awesome.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest. Plans for 2021? I know we're really early on. The record was just released. Normally you'd be touring. That probably won't happen for a while, realistically. But what is the plan, I guess, from here?
Yeah, basically we're just kind of waiting it out. If things do sort of open up and we can get out and tour, we want to do that. So we're really eager right now to make sure that we're prepared for that. So, we don't want to be like, all of a sudden you hear, hey, everything's, getting better and venues are open, and then we're like, crap, we haven't rehearsed in 6 months, so we're not doing that stuff. So we're ready to go. As soon as the floodgates can open, we're just right out of the gate. That's what we want to do. Our big plans are we want to hit a tour. At the very least, we want to do the U.S., even if it only ends up being like an East Coast thing. We'd love to get a further reach than that. We actually do have a pretty good fan base going on in the UK right now. So even if we could get over there, that would be like fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Does that surprise you, specifically the UK?
No, the UK, even over there, they tend to have a much broader range of acceptance for new music, I guess, versus the US. In the US, it kind of feels like you have to basically earn your stripes first before anybody will even listen to you. But everything that we've had going on over in the UK so far has been so welcoming and just so encouraging of let's share this with this group, check out this band, and we end up in all these different Facebook groups and these Instagram things are going on, and it's from that it's turned out that we've gotten a bunch of different radio stations playing us, so it's really nice to see that, so I'm like, UK, here we come.
Yeah. So instead of saying I'm really big in Japan, you would then have I'm really big in the UK. You'd have a Union Jack flag and.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. And you guys could come up with your own. I was going to call them hot wings, but it's blueberry barbecue wings, and then Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, man, that'll be on the merch table.
Mm-hmm. I like where this is headed. I like where this is going. Sweet. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, unless there's anything else that you wanted to chat about, then Steph. I can call you Steph, right? We're on terms like that?
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Sweet. Just wanted to thank you for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.